Story 1. The monster under your bed isn't always there to scare you. I was lying alone in my room when I heard the voice, deep and crackly, coming from beneath my bed. "Hey," the voice called out. I told myself I was just imagining it. "Hey, kid," the voice repeated. I drew my knees up to my chest and ducked my head under the blanket, trying to shut out the voice and the cold wind that drifted in through the window, ruffling the curtains. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm the monster underneath your bed," the voice replied. "You mean you're real?" I asked. "What do you mean?" the monster said. "Of course I'm real." "Do you have a name?" I asked. "Of course I have a name." "Oh, well, what is it?" "Frank." "Frank?" "Yeah," the monster said. "Is there something wrong with that?" "No, I don't know," I said. "It's just not very monsterly." "Well, my parents didn't want me to be a monster." "Really? What did they want you to be?" "A dentist." "That's funny," I said. I could feel myself beginning to smile. "What do your parents want you to be?" it asked. "I don't know." "Hey, Frank?" "Yeah?" "Aren't you gonna, scare me or something?" "What? Why would I do that?" "Well, you're a monster, aren't you?" "Well, yeah, of course I am. But that doesn't mean that I scare little kids." "But I thought that was your job." "It is my job to scare people," he replied. "But only bad people." "Am I a bad person?" I asked. "No," he said. "But you're not the one I'm here to scare." "Who are you here to scare?" I asked. "The man inside your closet." The skin on my arms goose-fleshed up. I wanted to ask him what he meant, but I fell silent as I heard a rustling coming from the closet. The door creaked open, and I could hear soft footsteps padding towards me across the bedroom floor. I didn't dare peek out of the blanket. The footsteps stopped, and I could hear heavy breathing next to me. I squeezed my eyes tight. The warm sanctuary of the blanket disappeared as it was yanked off me. I hugged my arms around my knees and prepared for the worst. A scream shattered the night air, followed by the sound of breaking glass. I opened my eyes a crack to see a knife lying on the carpet next to my bed, blade glinting in the moonlight. My parents rushed into the room and asked me what had happened, but I didn't know what to say, only that someone had been hiding in my closet and they'd jumped out the window. My parents called 911, and the police came right away. They picked up a man called Gary Thompson sprinting through the streets a couple blocks away. He was covered in blood and broken glass. They found Gary's car abandoned on our property, and inside they found duct tape, knives, barbiturates, and a video camera. From what I heard, Gary's lawyer employed an insanity defense, and Gary is currently incarcerated in a state mental facility for the criminally insane. I never heard from Frank the monster again, but the officer who arrested Gary told me that he sleeps on the floor of the facility. He tells the doctors that he's terrified of Frank, the monster under his bed. Story 2. My son asked me to check the closet for monsters. I didn't need to. I recently went through a pretty nasty divorce, but I got the only thing that mattered out of it: full custody of my 4-year-old son. Lost nearly everything else in the process, so we had to relocate to a new house with barely any luggage or furniture. Truly, a fresh new start. I heard him call for me during our first night at our new home. It was a little after midnight, I think. I went to check on him to see what was wrong and sat by his bedside. He was wide awake and asked me to check the closet for monsters, which wasn't surprising given the circumstances. He's still just a little kid, and without even taking into account all the crap he's been put through, thanks to my shitty marriage. Moving into an unfamiliar, barely furnished home must be a lot to take in for someone his age. And you know how they say that your brain always stays half awake when you're sleeping in a new environment, right? That's all pretty much what went through my mind in a flash as soon as my son spoke. It was no big deal. It was all normal, I thought. But something else almost immediately clicked inside my brain before I even got to look at where my son had pointed to while he made his innocent request. Something was wrong. I turned my head and looked, and it took everything I had in me to not give in to fear and terror, all for the sake of my son. When you become a parent, you have to protect your children no matter what, always putting yourself in harm's way if necessary, and spare them any and all kinds of things that might hurt them. That's why I didn't freak out. I couldn't, not when we had barely just started our new life. I had to protect him, and at that point in time, as I sat on his bed, I only knew one thing. We had to leave the room. We had to leave the house immediately. "All right, champ, of course," I said, faking bravery. Then, I made a request of my own as I lowered my voice and got closer to him. "Hey, how about you step outside for a minute? If there's a monster in there, I'll have to kick its butt all over your room." He chuckled and said, "Okay." I made sure to put some extra emphasis on the word "but," because it's something that always cracks him up when I say it. Fortunately, he got stuck on that, and not the fact that I was indirectly admitting to the possibility of there actually being a monster. As soon as he left the room, my mind raced as it started to put together the best and most efficient route to take him out of the house while picking my car keys and phone on our way out. When I heard the closet doors slowly creaking open behind me, I knew it was time to go. I jumped out of the bed, exited the room, and grabbed my son. We were out of the door and inside the car, and moving in under a minute. I told him I couldn't sleep, so we were going out for some ice cream to celebrate. He was a little taken aback and asked, "Celebrate what?" To which I replied, "Just us two together. I love you, buddy." It was by no means a lie, but I just had to make sure that he was all right and wouldn't think of anything else as we literally fled our new home. As I mentioned earlier, the house was a new environment for the two of us. I'd been there a couple of times before, cleaned it all up by myself, and assembled what little furniture we had. So I knew for a fact what belonged where and what didn't. And I know his room didn't have a closet. Story 3. Letter from the girl who watched you grow up. Hi. The first time I saw you, I was surprised I could see you. You had a small turtle in your hands. You kept calling it Michelangelo, which I assumed was a nod to the Ninja Turtles. You tossed your long brown hair behind your back and knelt down to place the turtle on the ground. You were excited to see it wobbling on the grass. It reminded me of my cat and how I used to play with him when I was your age. I witnessed your entire childhood from my small window. Your first ride on a bicycle, your first day of school, your first real friend Brenda, your first day of middle school, and the cute uniform you got to wear. The time you won the science fair and you brought home a trophy shaped like a cell. You were such a happy girl. I saw you grow older, your body changing. You grew taller, your body slimmer, your face as beautiful as ever. I witnessed as others started to notice you in a different way. The stares from the jealous girls, the googly eyes from the young boys. As all this happened before my eyes, I noticed myself changing too. I got older. I got weaker. I got disillusioned, bruised. I lost my will to escape my painful life. All I had was this window to your life to keep me going. I lived my days through yours. Watching you was enough entertainment for me. You couldn't know the different ways you saved me from bad thoughts, bad days, and all the pain I had been suffering from. I saw the day that handsome young man came to pick you up in a red convertible. Your mother wasn't happy about it, but she knew she had no choice. You had to start spreading your wings at some point. You left in a gorgeous floral dress that matched the summer's flowers. You came back late that night. You had a stuffed bear and some leftover cotton candy. I imagined you had gone to the fair. I imagined all the rides you must have gone on, all the fun that must have been for you. I was so happy that you had enjoyed your first date. And then came the magical kiss. He leaned in, blushing, and kissed you. Your cheeks were so red that I instantly knew I had witnessed your first kiss. I closed my eyes, imagining what that must have felt like. For 1 second, I imagined it had been me wearing that dress, smiling so big, with butterflies in my belly and a kiss on my lips. But I was happy for you. I wanted to thank you for allowing me to live again, for allowing me to dream again. I wanted to thank you, but just couldn't bring myself to you. I couldn't go talk to you. I didn't know how. If only you knew about my window. And then, one day, I heard him talking about you. The man I live with. He noticed you. I heard him complaining about how pretty girls like you shouldn't show off their legs like that. The moment he mentioned your legs, I knew it was over. I knew you would become his next trophy. I had to keep you away from him. This was my chance to thank you. I couldn't let you turn into me. I had been lucky. I don't know why he liked me this much. Most other girls came and went, never to return. And yet, amidst all the years, he always kept me down here. I think it's because he saw that I still had a light in me, because I had you. All the other girls died long before he killed them. I could tell that they were already dead in their eyes, long before he viciously murdered them in front of me, showing off his skill. But not me. You kept me going. I had my little window, a little crack high up on the wall of this basement I call home. He didn't like that he couldn't break me down. He didn't know about the little crack, so he kept me to see how long I could stay like this. It is a sick game that I've been winning thanks to you. But then, he noticed you. And I knew what fate awaited you if he laid his monstrous hands on you. Whatever strength I have left, I've collected it and prepared myself to finally do something about it. I want to thank you, because if you're reading this letter, it means I did it. I gathered my courage, packed it neatly into action, and went through with my plan to escape once and for all. I will make him believe I've died. I don't know if it'll work, but if it does, he will reach to pick me up. I'll immediately kick him as hard as I can where it'll hurt the most. As hard as I can. I will then steal his keys and run as fast as I can and drop this letter off in your mailbox. I have a feeling he will chase me and get a hold of me eventually, because I'm weak. I'm very weak. Battered. There's barely a human left in this body of mine. But if that is the case, I've been prepared to leave this world for a long time. I doubt anyone will hear or see me. This street is so desolate. You're the only life here, it seems sometimes. But so long as you get this letter, I know that I did my part and that you'll be safe. Monsters are real. This one is named Ryan Morehouse. He is your front door neighbor. I have been kept captive in his basement for a very long time. I've lost track of the years, but I believe I must be in my late 20s by now. I was 15 when he first brought me here. My parents must have looked for me. Please don't tell them about me. I don't want them to know about the tortures he put me through. I don't want them to see me broken down this way. I just want you to report him to the police. His evil nature and depraved mind can only be stopped if he is caught behind bars. They will find bodies dangling in the walls of the basement. I've learned to live with the smell by now, but they will notice it the second they step down here. There are a lot of young girls in the walls of my room down here. Tell them to treat them delicately. They were good girls. They've been my companions, my friends. Most of all, I want to thank you. You're the only thing that kept me going. You were my light. And now, I'm escaping thanks to you. Escaping this awful room. Escaping this awful life. Even if it means I finally get to die. With love, the girl who watched you grow up. We found this letter in our mailbox. After contacting the police, they entered the home of our neighbor across the street. Over a span of 5 days, they found a total of 15 bodies hidden in different parts of his house. He had plans to kidnap our daughter, but thanks to this mysterious stranger, his plan was intercepted. We still have not found the girl who wrote this. We like to think she made it out alive, but sadly, it isn't likely as Ryan Morehouse is also missing. We don't even know her name. But we did find the little crack in the wall, the one where she saw my daughter grow up from. I hope you enjoyed the 3 stories from NoSleep. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which story you liked the most. And stay tuned for the next Reddit horror story.